President Donald Trump arrived in Beijing in May 2026 for the most consequential United States-China summit in years. But the first signal was not delivered through trade numbers or military statements. It came on the airport tarmac. Chinese President Xi Jinping did not personally greet Trump when Air Force One landed. Instead, Chinese Vice President Han Zheng led the welcome ceremony alongside senior diplomats, military guards, and hundreds of flag-waving performers. To many viewers, the absence of Xi looked like a diplomatic slight. In reality, protocol specialists immediately noticed the opposite. Compared with Trump's 2017 arrival in China, Beijing had upgraded the reception by sending a higher-ranking official. That detail matters because this summit is unfolding during a period of rising pressure over artificial intelligence, tariffs, Taiwan, rare earth minerals, Iran, and global supply chains. What happens during these meetings could shape the balance between competition and stability for years. Trump did not arrive alone. Accompanying him were Tesla and SpaceX Chief Executive Elon Musk, Nvidia Chief Executive Jensen Huang, and other senior American business leaders connected to finance, manufacturing, and artificial intelligence infrastructure. Their presence transformed the visit from a standard diplomatic engagement into a broader economic and technological negotiation. Nvidia alone sits at the center of the global AI hardware race, with its chips powering advanced data centers across the world. Musk, meanwhile, remains deeply connected to both American industrial policy and the Chinese electric vehicle market through Tesla's major operations in Shanghai. Beijing clearly understood the symbolism of these executives arriving alongside the American president. The schedule itself revealed the seriousness of the summit. Trump was expected to meet Xi Jinping at the Great Hall of the People before attending a state banquet and additional working sessions. Discussions were expected to cover trade disputes, AI competition, fentanyl exports, the Iran conflict, Taiwan, and Chinese purchases of American products such as soybeans and aircraft. Markets immediately reacted to the possibility of reduced tensions. Investors interpreted Jensen Huang's participation as a sign that Washington might consider adjustments to restrictions affecting advanced semiconductor exports to China. Global markets have become extremely sensitive to these controls because artificial intelligence infrastructure increasingly depends on a limited number of high-performance chips. The roots of this moment stretch back more than a decade. During Trump's first presidency, the United States imposed major tariffs on Chinese imports, arguing that Beijing had benefited unfairly from trade practices, industrial subsidies, and technology transfers. China responded with tariffs of its own, triggering a prolonged trade conflict between the world's two largest economies. Relations deteriorated further over technology restrictions, military competition in the Pacific, and disputes surrounding Taiwan. By the mid-2020s, artificial intelligence had become the new strategic battleground. Washington increasingly viewed advanced chips, cloud infrastructure, and AI software as national security assets rather than ordinary commercial products. Beijing accelerated domestic semiconductor investment while seeking alternatives to Western supply chains. Taiwan remains one of the most dangerous pressure points in the relationship. China considers the island part of its territory and opposes any foreign military cooperation with Taipei. The United States does not formally recognize Taiwan as an independent state. But American law requires support for Taiwan's defensive capabilities. Before Trump's visit, Chinese officials publicly repeated their opposition to American weapons sales to Taiwan, describing the issue as a core national interest. This matters because military activity around the Taiwan Strait has steadily increased during recent years, involving Chinese naval exercises, American patrols, and growing regional anxiety among allies, including Japan and the Philippines. Another major issue surrounding the summit is the overlap between technology competition and geopolitical power. Former Senator Kirsten Sinema argued that the United States and China are effectively competing to shape the dominant global AI ecosystem. That competition is not limited to economics. Countries that control advanced AI infrastructure could gain advantages in defense systems, cyber capabilities, industrial production, and financial networks. The inclusion of executives from Nvidia and other technology companies signaled that Trump's delegation wanted to present American AI leadership as both an economic strength and a strategic asset. One possible outcome is a limited stabilization agreement. In that scenario, China could increase purchases of American agricultural products and aircraft, while the United States slightly relaxes selected export restrictions. Both governments could present such a deal as a victory without abandoning broader strategic competition. That outcome would likely calm financial markets and reduce immediate fears of economic decoupling. It could also slow the acceleration toward competing technological blocks dividing global supply chains. A second scenario is less stable. If negotiations fail over Taiwan, AI restrictions, or tariffs, the summit could deepen mistrust rather than reduce it. New export controls or retaliatory trade actions could disrupt semiconductor markets, manufacturing networks, and energy prices. Regional military tensions could intensify if both governments decide that deterrence requires stronger signaling in the Pacific. Because the United States and China together account for roughly 40% of global economic output, prolonged confrontation would extend far beyond bilateral relations. The summit, therefore, represents more than ceremonial diplomacy. Trump's arrival with corporate leaders, China's carefully calibrated welcome, and the focus on artificial intelligence all reflect a changing international system where economics, security, and technology increasingly overlap. Neither Washington nor Beijing appears interested in direct confrontation, but neither side wants to appear strategically vulnerable. The challenge for both governments is managing competition without allowing it to spiral into permanent instability. Viewers should watch less for dramatic announcements and more for subtle indicators. Trade concessions, technology agreements, military language, and the tone of future communication between both capitals. Those details may reveal whether the world's most important bilateral relationship is entering a period of guarded coexistence or a more dangerous phase of rivalry. For now, both leaders appear to recognize that the costs of uncontrolled escalation would extend into emerging technologies used by governments worldwide. The summit in Beijing is therefore not simply about diplomacy between two presidents. It is a test of how major powers compete without breaking the global system.